You got it. You fucking.
Here we go. Turn it up.
Now turn it to a medium
my bad.
pace. Just turn it to like slightly. Turn it to like a 3.
Can we turn it off?
Can we actually get these lights down? What is with these lights?
Well, I know.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to DNVR. Let's go.
Bring all of us down because you're just feeling a little under the weather. Jamal Murray didn't bring us down last night
dude.
because he wasn't feeling well.
He kind of did. He brought me down a little bit. He did step up and perform well. Though. I got to give him a big shout.
Points,
Guys, Hangover Edition, DNVR Nuggets Podcast. We went to Ball Arena. Vogt went to a hotel room.
That's
Can't
right.
tell him which one. Don't say which one. Went to a hotel.
Wait. What?
Hey, Vogt went to the hotel to get the Lakers. The Lakers press was at the
I was like
at the hotel.
last night or today? Or
No, I'm
today.
saying we got.
Yeah, I had to go to the Lakers
a
for their
hotel.
media
You
ceremony.
can't just say you went to a hotel.
What a power
room.
move, by the way, the
Yeah.
Lakers to say we're not
with you
coming to
on
you.
this.
You come to us.
I had to scoot to their hotel.
Vogt went to a hotel room. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I guess that
I've
was
heard
a
too
little
many
bizarre.
stories about the NBA for that to just fly.
So we got an updated perspective, plus a chance to rewatch the game and really look at what happened in this one and kind of think about what to expect from game 2. There's always the immediate take. We're doing hangover takes. I feel like the internet needs a hangover takes because last night, man, there were some wild ones.
Oh, no, it's really rational and great today.
Okay, you're right.
It's worth revisiting for sure.
We're going to break all of those down for you guys and give, honestly, there are some things I think from game 1 to be concerned about. There's some things not to be, but that's the playoffs. Adjustments happen. We're going to break it all down. Over here, I got Brennan Vogt.
Man, what a night. I like the pace with which this is moving. Great game. Some good media availabilities today. You know what I mean? Like, no wasted time so far, dude. I can't wait for game 2.
I wish I was Vogt. Man, over here, I've got the only person older than me, D-Line Co.
Guys,
Look at us oldies.
having the time of my life. Unfortunately, my life ended 1 week ago.
That's so true. And then over there, young, youthful, and handsome, Harrison
Not
Wynn.
that young, but
That's the only
You're
one you
handsome,
refuted.
though. Yeah.
but I will say happy early birthday to D-Line.
Let's go.
Let's go.
He's
it's actually kind of
1,000
really
years
early,
old.
though. It's 2 days early, so now, like,
He just let
tomorrow-
me know before the show his birthday's in 2 days.
Yeah, but as a rationale for why I'm
Washed.
a disaster. Yeah.
Yeah, absolute disaster. We joke now. Actually, what are we doing here, Kale?
He's white balancing. We'll do it live.
Well, I'm
Adam.
about to go to the hangover here.
No, we're going to do it live, dude.
So right now, as we often do on the day after a game, you have your immediate reaction takes. But now the hangover takes. There we go.
Yeah.
I'm definitely losing a metaphorical tooth at the
Where's
moment.
Dev? I think we lost him.
I think we lost Def as well. But you fellas were at the arena, and I want to get, and so we only get a muted perspective from you guys. But Wind, why don't you start with us, man? Just give us your hangover takes about game 1.
Well, like the great philosopher Kevin Durant once said, watching Nikola Jokic was a spiritual experience. It was, man. That was incredible for the first 3 quarters, which is really what mattered in that game. Just how he played in that first quarter especially and how he set the tone. There aren't many things like in life that you can count on. There aren't many things with the Nuggets. I feel like you can count on every single game. You can count on Nikola Jokic to show up and show out in every playoff game that he plays in. It's one of the only certainties in life. And last night you saw that. Like, was there any doubt he was going to come out in game 1 and just be that dude? No, of course not. No. He always is, and Vogt was sitting next to me in the press box, in the press row when Nikola Jokic hit that buzzer beater to end the third quarter. Man, I almost melted. I
actually think
I got emotional. Like, actually, I almost started crying.
He's joking. I've known Win for 5 years. One of the least emotional people I've ever met, and that was by far the most emotional I've
I
ever
can
seen.
usually
you.
keep it together
Yeah.
when I'm watching a game live as a media person because I've just seen so much and like so little rattles me live, I feel like. But that was something else.
I want to piggyback on this because it was, you always ask us for our in-arena kind of observations you wouldn't get here. That moment, that was a moment.
Yeah.
Everyone in the press box, decorum be damned, every single one of us turned around and looked at each other in a state of full shock.
Yep.
Vincent Goodwill's shaking his head like he met God, you know? And
Yeah.
the fans too are looking at us. And obviously on TV, I watched it. It's incredible. Small chance Wind and I had the best angle in the world for that shot. The flight path we watched it take, that thing looked like it didn't have a chance in hell until the moment it was nothing but net. And I've never seen a flight path like that. The way he had to shoot it to avoid the obvious contest.
He does these for passes where the hand's up, and so he like wraps around. That's what he did for the shot. He shot it around the arm.
And some guys bank that shot in.
Yeah.
Jokic,
Nothing but net.
nothing but
The
net.
thing is, though, when a lot of guys take that shot, that half quarter to end the quarter,
Yeah.
end a half, you usually just like look away a lot.
Sure.
You're like, oh, whatever. All right, let's get off a tweet, or like let's get ready for the next quarter. With Jokic, you always have to watch those shots.
Totally.
Because he hits them. He just has that thing about him. Vogt, I think we had the second best angle. I think Mark Jackson actually had the best angle on that shot.
Good stuff.
Because it was right in front of him.
The other thing is that when a shot like that goes up, generally speaking, the person who shot it loses their mind when it goes in. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
him, Austin
I
Reeves.
can't believe you're just going to call him the entire
He's him.
series.
He declared
Well, he
himself
is.
as him.
Yeah, he is him.
But like people lose their mind. Jokic is like literally hangs his head.
Well, he wanted the
walks
foul
back.
call, and he actually should have gotten it.
It
Should have been an and one.
It's just I don't know, man. It is it's unreal. Like the way that he is just so unmoved. Like he's just so.
Yeah.
I mean, the word is not robotic, but he's just like so unemotional about and just so matter of fact about
It's
the way that he
incredible, man.
handles his business. It's crazy.
It's crazy. And then after the game, he has a historic game. 30, 20, 10. I think he's the only guy to ever do it 3 times in the playoffs.
2 times, but yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. All right.
Oscar once, or Kareem
No.
once, Wilt once, and Jokic twice.
Okay.
Wilt sneaks in there.
Yeah.
But
I
this
mean,
one's a not since Jokic, actually.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
I love it.
Jokic he does the same thing after every game, like the Nuggets just lost, like he does the interview. As he's walking off the court every game, he makes eye contact, says what's up to his family,
Right.
to his daughter, and then just walks off the floor, does the same routine, like it's nothing.
Right.
And it's just like, how?
Yeah, by the
How?
way, I've learned, you guys know this, when Jokic is doing this to his
Yeah.
daughter, it means it's referencing a children's story that says like
Where does the bunny
bunny drink from?
Oh, maybe you're right. The duck.
Where does the bunny drink from? From the hand.
So he's doing I mean, first of all,
He's talking
so
to
here's what's funny is you're
2-year-old.
And I'm glad you brought this up. Yes. Because I did see the take a lot of like Yoke's been pointing
What-
at
he
that
wants that
ring. He's
ring.
been- and like it seems like it is an innocent mistake. This doesn't actually matter, other than the fact that Yoke's so interesting that to tell the real stories is more interesting than the made up ones.
Yes.
Because the made up one is Yoke was gunning for that ring, man, and this or that. And that's not Jokic. Jokic just
Headline
doesn't
Roy.
think that way.
Can
He
you
doesn't.
imagine him just
The lower Chiron. Yoke shows Lakers where the bunny can drink from.
eyeball emoji?
But because there's the traditional way of telling the story of the superhero athlete, and I've always said this, like that Jordan changed the way we talk about athletes because then he became the mold, not a mold, but the mold, and then we all shoehorn, and athletes shoehorn themselves into the Michael Jordan narrative. Yoke's such an interesting guy. He won a playoff game, dominant performance, and he looked at his child and said, "Where does the bunny drink?" And it's such a cool story. It doesn't make him
It's
better
amazing.
or worse,
No, it's-
but it makes him him,
Yeah,
and that's why the story to be is so much better than the Yoke gunning for a
Because
ring, which
he's-
is the traditional story.
Because he is a complete human being.
Like an unfiltered in some weird way, because he's the most filtered in that he doesn't share much of his life with us. But at the same time, he's the most unfiltered in that he's like, biggest moment, what are you doing? Singing a song with
Yeah.
my daughter here.
And it's so funny because other people from other teams that cover other teams, that root for other teams, always try to come at. I don't know if you guys feel this. Always try to come at me when I prop up Jokic as this like holier than thou type person, and like people will say, "Oh, like you guys aren't like just righteous for like thinking Jokic is better than our superstars. Like, no, man, he is. Because of shit like this. He is.
He is.
He just
Win
is.
triples down on this.
And it's true. It has nothing to do with us. It's just like we recognize
He
this.
is better than
at
all
a
those
certain
other
point.
guys.
You will also recognize
And
this.
he's a better person.
Yeah, like
I mean, the last part.
I don't think we know him
I
at
don't
all.
know we know him
Yeah.
well enough to say that.
Nor do I care.
To me,
I
it's
do.
more about he's just interesting. He's just different, aloof in some ways, or what have you. But you know, he goes out, and it was funny. Like, I actually really appreciated Anthony Davis's giggle after that shot. You know, kind of looking at him, and being like, "Come on, man, like serious." And I loved Yoke's. Yoke looks at him and goes, "I don't know, man, just went in." Like, I don't. You know, it wasn't one of those. I'm him.
Yeah.
I'm him.
I'm
What did I
God.
tell you guys? It was just Yoke's like, I don't know, man. I'm just feeling it.
By the way, I do sometimes in the right context, like we talk about different basketball cultures, and American culture is very ego driven, like the I'm him, in asserting your will kind of thing. And there are times when that hits, man. You know, the right.
Because there's
Actually, that's never hit for me.
No,
but
no,
go
no,
on.
no. There is a truth to
I'm
it.
him has never hit
For me, no, but well, okay, that
Well, I'm him.
I'm
definitely.
him.
who do you think is him?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
him.
has never
Who
hit
do
for
you
me.
think you
Never.
are? I am.
But no, but
You're right.
like,
There's a thin line between the cool version and then the bowling version.
But
Go
Jimmy
for it, yeah.
Butler doing Jimmy Butler
Yeah.
stuff and walking off the floor yelling Tobias Harris.
Yeah, no,
like that's actually awesome.
I actually
Oh, I
think
love
it's dope
that stuff.
too.
Just
Yeah.
nobody ever say I'm him.
You hate,
Yes,
you
I
hate the
agree.
literal line.
Yes,
I'm him.
But-
I'm with him on this one.
But Adam hit the nail
But
on
not
the
the
head.
sentiment.
Adam hit the nail on the head. It's not like objectively better or worse. It is just different, which makes it more interesting inherently. To us
Exactly.
who grew up in this culture. I thought it was really interesting. I've been sitting on this take a little bit. Jokic last night, when asked to compare himself to LeBron, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't he say that they both have global games, if that makes sense?
Yeah, but he was trying to say all around.
You're all over.
Precise- so-
yeah, your impact,
Yeah.
your overall
Overall
impact.
impact.
Sure,
yeah.
man. They both are more concerned with making sure the five are on the level than asserting their will across a series or a game. There is a little difference between him and LeBron, and that LeBron still is an American player who has a little bit of that. And it's different. It's not KD or Kobe. It's, oh, they're switching easily. Bring me Jamal.
Right.
Bring me Jamal. I want him. Jokic is a little bit more like water, but I do think it's really interesting to compare them because I think LeBron has more of that global game than the typical American superstar. One way he's different from Jokic is he still has a little bit of that ego-driven thing.
But again, I'll take it all back to the Jordan thing because the best players before him were Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. That was the mold. In fact, there was a criticism of Michael Jordan in the 80s, which was that he isn't this.
Right.
It's like, no, he's just a scorer. He's not an all-around type guy. All he can do is score. And of course, for various reasons, including him winning more than anybody else of that era, but also because of, I think, the influx of Nike and new television deals and the NBA kind of going to a new stratosphere, he became the symbol of greatness. And again, Kobe Bryant following on the heels, matching that style and
Right.
also being one of the greatest, it confirmed a fallacy, so to speak. And then when LeBron came, if you remember, the idea was, look at how this guy does it different. He does it old
Yes,
school.
of course.
But over time, I think LeBron tried to become, from a narrative standpoint, Michael Jordan.
Yeah,
And it was like,
that's a
hey,
great
guys,
point.
we're no longer at a square peg in a round hole. We're now we're even farther than that. We're just now, and I think Steph Curry helped break this because Steph Curry was, and possibly still is, the best player or among the most impactful players of an era and fits none of those molds. I think with Jokic, that's, again, getting back to, it's not that he's better or worse, it's that he's different and may end up having the ultimate success with it.
Right,
and that's
right.
what's so compelling about it from a mental standpoint, a personality, but also just from a game standpoint. And Jokic, even more so than Steph, or at least as much as Steph, when you watch him, you go, that's unlike anything else other than it's equally, if not more impactful.
Yeah.
That's
Well
what we're
said.
seeing right now.
I'm with it.
So what else? What other takeaways do you have for us here to get us started on?
Crowd was crazy. That's for sure. Like the crowds at Ball Arena have been electric. And people even comment that are, coming from out of town, national riders and stuff, how great the crowds have been.
Hell yeah, Denver. I mean,
Well, dude, let it never be said that Denver, Colorado will not support a winning team.
I was gonna say it's a front-running city, but we do the fans show out, man. Like when the team is good, the fans are there.
This is a sports city to its core, but you have to understand, this is a city that has 4 major sports teams plus
The mountains.
every other category of team. Like we have lacrosse and
Yeah.
And there's only so many people and there's only so much attention. And it's not like a big place like New York where there's like a million billion people to support every team with a lot of vigor. So people kind of have like, they kind of pick and choose where they like when the teams are winning. And when they're winning, they are there.
They're there.
I only got there at halftime, but I thought there was much made about, a lot of Lakers fans there. I did not, compared to how it's been over the years,
Right.
that was a Nuggets crowd. And I
Right.
think you also have to expect Lakers Celtics. Some of that is not just a Nuggets dynamic. Like those
That's
fans
everywhere,
are
yeah.
in every crowd.
There's this weird thing with people in the local media where they can't wait to get to a game and tweet about A, how many empty seats there are,
Yeah.
or B, how many opposing fans there are in the building. And I saw so many tweets about that last night. And first off, Ball Arena was packed when the game tipped off.
Right.
Secondly, like Vogt said, there weren't that many Lakers fans there. I'd say it was 90-10 at best,
I'm with you.
for Lakers fans.
Well, it's funny to me, Harrison. I'm going to bring this up, but the media. Local media has not invested in the Nuggets. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a shocker, right?
Other
This is
than-
why
other than
DNVR
this
exists.
show.
They've actually invested against the
Yeah.
Nuggets.
And that's what that is.
Right.
That is hey, man, nobody likes this team that we have failed to cover for all these years. And I'll
Totally.
tell you, another aspect of this is to kind of breaking the fourth wall here. Media can be very competitive. It can be a little dog eat dog. And there's a lot of people showing up for the first time that are trying to like skip the line or like put others down. Like I always hear these stories from our Broncos people about how some of the Broncos traditional media will try to like sabotage them. And this is the first time I see it where I'm like, what the hell is this, you guys? Like,
Yeah.
come on, you have never been here. Don't try to like, issue citations.
And
to
also,
DNVR.
people are just putting that stuff out there because they know it will get retweeted and clicks and engagement and whatnot. People are like, oh, Denver doesn't support its team. How did all these Nuggets fans sell all these tickets to Lakers fans? Like, people just know that stuff will get clicks.
It's again a lot of people that haven't
it's
been here
fake.
trying to catch up.
It's just,
on
like,
it.
not true.
The only notes they think they know how to play, and to
Yeah.
your point, you're not true. Let's take a break. I want to keep getting to some more and more of these. I love that note though. I actually didn't know because again, I saw the crowd and but I did see select videos of Lakers fans, and I'm like,
That's
I thought.
selective.
So there you go. That's good to
Nuggets
hear.
crowd.
Let's take a break. On the other side, we're going to start getting into more of the notes from practice today. Some interesting and maybe even spicy things said. Bruce Brown, Michael Malone, even Michael Porter Jr.
What? Stay tuned.
Michael Quoter Jr.? All right, my bad.
Don't turn that
I love that
podcast dial.
I love that I give earnest teases that are always. Don't turn that dial, people.
Guys, if you want to check out some rugby in the Denver area, check out the American Raptors. They play at Infinity Park. You can get tickets for $10. Children 12 and under are free.
Let's go.
You can get those at AmericanRaptors.com. Go to the website. Tickets are just $10. Children 12 and under are free. They play at Infinity Park. And we will be having watch parties here at the DNVR bar for every single American Raptors game. Their next one is May 28th. It's the team season finale watch party. We're having that watch party at the DNVR bar. They take on Cobras Brazil at 12 p.m. So we'll see you in Rugby Town, USA again. We're having a watch party at the DNVR bar May 28th. American Raptors versus Cobras Brazil. Check it out. You can also watch them on ESPN Plus, but be sure to stop by the DNVR bar May 28th for the team's season finale watch party. If you want to stay locked in with rugby, not just locally, but nationally, check out the DNVR Rugby Podcast. Hit that subscribe button, exclusive interviews, just learn more about rugby, and check out the DNVR watch party May 28th for the American Raptors season finale. Also, look, you guys, if you play golf in Colorado, you know how impossible it is to get a tee time.
Yep.
You know.
I do know.
It's terrible.
Are you kidding? That's why I don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, finding tee times in Denver, it's impossible. There's a solution now. It's called Golf Snake. Download the Golf Snake app. You don't have to call dozens of courses, go to dozens of sites
This is
just
the
to
best
book
app
a
ever.
tee time. You just log on to the app, and it tells you where you can golf. It tells you where you can book a tee time.
You ever?
in
There's like
real
products
time.
when you're like, this thing should exist. This is like one of those ones where it's like, how did this not exist till now? This is, of course, you need this.
the greatest thing is
Absolutely.
that Golf Snake won't judge you when you ask it to filter to find one player spot.
Or like
Oh, that
nothing
was so
before
sad.
nothing before 10
Golf
a.m.
Snake.
Is this what we're doing? Is it for your birthday? Are you going to take
Golf
yourself
Snake,
golfing?
Golf Snake doesn't go, Oh, when you put in one, it just shows you the available courses.
Oh, this
there you
was
go.
really.
As opposed to Netflix, it's like, wow, you're still watching this shit? You loser. Yeah.
Golf Snake was built by
Real
a Denver
insight
native
into D-line's
who,
mind.
like all of us, was annoyed that it had become such a pain to find tee times. So go to golfsnake.com, or you can get the Golf Snake app in the App Store. Access every single tee time in Denver in one click, including those coveted weekend morning tee times. Golf Snake, every course in Denver, it's easy, fast, and free. It can save your life. You know,
I would say.
it can help you out a lot.
would
So
say.
check out Golf Snake.
Dude, speaking of snakes, my 6-year-old, not at all afraid of snakes. Not even a healthy fear of snakes. Like, I run towards a snake when she sees one.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know where it comes from. I don't know how you have to. I have to like teach her that snakes are dangerous.
She probably saw it
She
on
wants to
YouTube
pick
or
them up
something.
and stuff. Yeah,
Just
she's
make her watch snakes on a plane.
no. That maybe that's the next step for me.
Anaconda.
Let's get into some notes here today. I'm not even sure the Nuggets practiced today. I think it was more of a film.
Yeah.
You know, like when you get to this stage of the playoffs, it's a film study. I'm going to go out and say this though, Wind. I think most people felt this way. After the game, you go home. We have work to do. We do a show, this or that. It's so hard to fall asleep when you get picked up like that. They talk about athletes and how their rhythms are so weird. I'm always blown away that the Nuggets do media availability at 11:45, which presumably is after a film study,
Right.
which is presumably after they woke up and came to the arena. I'm always like, when did these guys sleep? I was dead tired
now.
when I arrived there, and I didn't play the game.
You know what I think is like actually pretty beneficial to them is being in their 20s.
And,
Well,
and top
also-
of their athletic prime. I'm right below prime athlete.
You're
but
like, where do
also
they
I'm
find
close.
the time to apply the Ben Gay to?
As much as we feel the adrenaline sitting here on this couch, I think playing 4 quarters of playoff basketball probably takes a
They're
lot.
more drained.
Yeah, they're ready to pass out.
I don't know, but they say athletes, you know, they're up till 4 or 5 at the because that's just they're wired to. If your emotional and physical peak happens at 9 o'clock,
Yeah.
then that just means naturally you're
I
going to have a
start
lower
asking
down.
guys. It's
That
like
would be
it's
an
a
interesting
weirdly
question,
invasive
yeah.
question, but
Is
I'm,
it?
Be like-
I don't know. If
I don't think it's
they might
invasive.
interpret it that
Just
way.
be like 2-part question. What time did you go to bed last night, and what underwear were you?
yeah,
wearing?
yeah.
But in all sincerity, I was wondering that when they come out at
says a lot about
11:45, like MPJ would, by the way, in his pajamas, which I thought was great.
Loved it.
He was in his pajamas. But I just kept thinking, like, when do these guys sleep that they get to come back and be in? Anyway, film study. Here we go.
Great question. My number one note from the media availability was that the Nuggets are still very confident, and I think
Even after a win, that's
they
remarkable.
find it a little funny. Maybe funny's not the right word, but they find it interesting and maybe a little humorous that there's all this chatter about the Rui Hachimura adjustment on the
One weird trick.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and get in front of it. You're going to get to the quote here, but I think there's a healthy balance between going too far and saying it's a full-on adjustment and completely laughing it off. I'm just going to say there's somewhere in between that I think is the appropriate one, but we'll go. Malone, to his credit, he's definitely like pissed off that that's his storyline.
Yeah, I mean, Malone said, this is a direct quote, much is being made of them putting Rui Hachimura on Nikola Jokic, like we've never seen that before.
Yeah, that was the theme of the availability.
Spice.
It really was.
No, that answer
Just
to that
that,
question
yeah.
from all 3 of them.
Here's
from
what-
all 3 of them.
Here's what's funny. Again, when do these guys have time to sleep? You know, the film study, everything else, and also presumably catch up on all the narratives. Where's Michael Malone getting this?
Well, he's super online. Michael, stop lying.
Oh, we just got a downvote. Must have
Yeah.
been Michael's like
That's interesting.
Have we got a rage downvote?
to range downvote.
Is P blank clarity actually?
Michael Malone, a.k.a. the Coochie Monster.
All right, we got a
Drunk philosopher?
Before we
Is
get
that
canceled,
you?
let's go. Move along before we get canceled.
Drunk philosopher?
God.
But yes, like you were saying, Vogt, a lot of today was about the Rui adjustment.
Yep.
Michael Porter on the adjustment. Quote, I don't think that will be an issue for us next game. We know how to counter that. Bruce Brown, quote, we've seen that adjustment made against us many times. We'll be ready. So Malone brought up how, you know, they've seen it with every team that Rudy Gobert has been on that they've played against. Michael Porter said Philly did that to us. Bruce Brown said Minnesota did that to us in the playoffs. Denver, I expect, is going to be very, very ready for that. And that has been a key point that they've been talking about in this morning's film session, and I bet we'll talk about again tomorrow.
And both Bruce and Michael, as you mentioned, echoed the sentiment. More specifically, they said that was part of the film study. We feel good about it. Both of them, in so many words.
And again, asking about the different teams as you referenced, Minnesota is a team that has done something similar to this with Gobert off. 76ers, obviously, Golden State, obviously.
Right.
So there is some precedent for Denver having gone to. I will say, I asked all three players. I asked Bruce, MPJ, and Michael Malone the same question today about what teams, just because it's interesting sometimes to get them. Bruce, right off the top, Minnesota and Philly. Michael Malone, Minnesota, Philly, even Golden State. Michael Porter had to really think about it for a while. Impressively, though, referenced Celtics 76ers.
Yeah,
he says, I've
because
actually
he was
seen
watching
this.
that game.
Rob Williams, dude. That's
I
when
saw
we
this.
noticed it too.
I actually thought it was really cool to be like, wow, Mike's not only watching these games, he's dissecting them on the other team. Although then struggled to think of one that's
He said
happened to
Philly,
Denver.
too. He
But
said
he
Philly,
eventually
too. He
did
said
get to Philly as it. But I just thought it was
I'm not
interesting.
going to drag him for that.
I'm not dragging him for it. I'm actually praising him for noticing the other one. I'm just saying it's interesting to notice where people's minds go differently on that.
Also, I think some guys come up to the podium knowing how they might answer questions X, Y, Z,
Right.
and I think it's a pretty earnest, raw reaction every time you ask Mike a question.
Right. Like, he hasn't thought of it at all.
He's like, oh, all right, well, here's what I think.
Yeah. There's also a bunch of shade thrown at D'Angelo Russell today.
Dude.
This is...
And there was last night, too, by Michael Malone, but they kind of doubled down on it today. This was a great one from Michael Malone. He said, in game one, a guy that's played really well for them was not on the floor in the fourth quarter in D'Angelo Russell. That, to me, Malone said, is an interesting storyline. Are they going to play him? Are they not going to play him? That, to me, is an interesting storyline.
I love Michael Malone, man. So here's
incredible.
the thing. The other day, or yesterday, KCP was asked about Jokic and LeBron. He said they're basically saying they jump different. Lakers fans were like, this is so offensive. I can't believe he's throwing shade at LeBron. He was at no way throwing shade at LeBron. There's been some different quotes that Lakers people have tried to say, are they just throwing shade? This one, I think, is Michael Malone fully stirring the pot. Because here's why. One of my big takeaways from this game is that D'Angelo Russell should never play in this series. It's not for him. The Lakers scored just fine without him. He's an offensive player. He actually is not their best attack. Their best attack is elsewhere. And he is the worst defensive player in this series of all the players, the worst one. So they need to take him out. And I feel like Michael Malone here is kind of saying, do they? Do they? And also, not just that, there was a report. Now, it came from NBA Central. I don't know where the originator was. NBA Central is not the best aggregator. Nope. But there was one about D'Angelo Russell, unhappy with his minute. They're maybe asking him to take a reduced role. He's not so into that. And by the way, George Karl, who's very good friends with Darvin Ham, had brought him into the NBA. He referenced this a couple months ago that maybe not all the Lakers play on Twitter. He was like, I'm not sure all the players are buying into the sacrifice it's needed. And I always filed that away. And then I see this quote and I go, I think Michael Malone knows that this is not a thing D'Angelo Russell wants to do quietly. And he's kind of digging it into like, hey, they might need, are they going to play him? Interesting storyline.
And go ahead, Win.
I was just going to say, isn't it wild that self-awareness is not something that everybody is gifted in this world?
So real quick, while we're on this, I know we're still on the Nugget side. Darvin Ham was asked the same question, or about his message to D'Lo. And here's the quote, but I have a read on it if you'll humor me.
Yep.
Positive energy, enjoy the game, don't get down on yourself, stay aggressive and assertive. Sometimes a coach is asked that question, thinking of Michael Malone, and Ham kind of reminds me of him in front of the mic. He'll take it as an opportunity to really praise that player,
right?
Make it a lengthy, hey, this isn't a problem. We're on the same page about it. Think about all the times he said that about Mike. I would just say it was a pretty quick answer from Ham. You know what I mean? That's my read. It was a pretty quick. He didn't make a whole thing about it. You know what I mean? And so I do wonder if there's a little tension there. We'll find out.
Dude, this Malone quote reminded me of one he had against Minnesota. You remember when Michael Malone said, yeah, we know they're going to get Karl Anthony Towns going. He's their second best player.
Yeah. It's a lot like that, dude.
You're so right.
Dude, Malone is cooking right now.
Malone is hilarious. You're so right about this.
Bruce cooked him worse, but
I think my agenda has always been, but I think I'm going to double down on my Michael Malone agenda.
I love it. It's a great agenda to double down on. But it is, to your point about that one, second best player, Jokic in the first round called himself Denver's second best player. He said Jamal Murray's our first best. Yeah. And I just love that this is a real issue for most teams. And it is one thing that I think is just less an issue, at least at the top. I do think there's other guys maybe. But for Jokic, he's like, I don't care. I mean, I'm the fifth best player. I don't care.
Well, let's keep talking about D'Lo. Bruce Brown on D'Angelo Russell, how the Nuggets were able to take him out of the game. He said, we attacked them. We took D'Lo out of the game. That was our goal, to take him out of everything. And then Bruce Brown said, how did they take him out of the game? More on that. Just going at him. Quote, he's not the best defender, but he definitely tries.
Dude, he definitely tries is the best way the best follow-up.
That part, because that part sounds like he's doing damage control. I disagree.
No, that makes it worse.
I think he's doubling down.
like,
But he definitely tries.
He's like, he plays defense. It's cute.
Yeah, it's like, Eric, you make some good graphic. Like,
it's cute.
Yeah, you're not good at graphics, but you try.
I mean,
no,
like,
he tries really hard.
That's how we talk about
you put in
Kale
the
producing the
hours,
show.
but you're still bad at it.
Oh, that last part hit a little harder than I expected.
D'Angelo Russell, by the way, 120 offensive rating. The Lakers as a team 129.9. So he had a bad relative. I mean, it's still good, but bad relative. In fact, it was the worst on the team. Wow, look at that. And then as a defensive rating, 168.5. It's hard to be worse than that.
Yeah.
If you gave up 168 points per every 100 possessions,
1.7 points were scored every time he was on the court. The Nuggets come
Holy
down.
smokes.
They come down the court. Yeah. They scored on average 1.7 points.
It was.
Think about how crazy that is.
A murder.
So anyway, to the point, he didn't play well. But I'm with you. I will say this: Michael Malone, I think, was trying to stir up some shit. Bruce Brown, I think, was trying to kick him.
Yeah.
There's a difference here. But Malone, I think, was trying to make the hey, let's make that locker room maybe to talk about, think about this or this. And I think Bruce was just like, yeah, he sucks.
I also think,
make sure he hears it.
I also think that is how Bruce Brown talks.
Dude, he's from Boston,
Yeah.
man.
He'll let you. And he's got for a guy who's not actually small in real life, just brimming with Tiny King energy, dude.
I know.
He wants to fight the world. That's the Boston thing.
He's got that a-hole in him.
Yeah, for sure he does. For sure he does.
Yeah. But I mean, the larger picture that I think the Nuggets are going to be focused on heading into game 2 is defense. And, everything about their defense. Like, Malone was asked a lot about the Rui adjustment, the offense, and he didn't want to talk about the offense. He wanted to talk about the defense. He said, look, we didn't defend anybody after that first quarter. Bruce said, what was the key of the first half? And he said, getting out in transition. But the only way we can do that is if we get stops.
Right.
And, the other aspect here is if, like I said, Malone didn't want to talk too much about how they guarded Yoke. He just wanted to, talk about the defense. And I'm sure that's going to be his message to his guys, heading into game 2. And then the final note I've got is, the Nuggets are still operating with this chip on their shoulder. And Bruce Brown was talking about this today and, what it's like being in the spotlight for once. And he said, look, now we finally can show what we can do. We've been doubted all year. We've been first in the West for a while now, and people are still doubting us. We just got to take care of business. And then he was asked, why do you think you guys are underestimated? He said, nobody watches us. That's why.
I love it.
He said it with an edge, too. That wasn't one of those, I'm going to make it soft. Nobody watches. That's why.
You know what? The right answer.
Yep. It's
so obviously true though. This is what's been so great about this.
Yes.
Even if it is to end now or whatever, it has been so fun watching people be like, man, Jokic might actually be good. He might actually be the best.
What do you guys
player.
think we do every game night?
I know.
When we're sitting here trying to tell you, we're just playing Scrabble during the game.
The worst part is that for us specifically, it's we have been treated oftentimes like weird homers that are just so enamored with their guy, and you're can't see the forest for the trees, and you're come on, go. But it's no, no, dude. You guys are so wrong here. Watch this guy play, please.
He has the
highest.
He has the highest PER, playoff PER in NBA history, which
Checks
again
out.
doesn't mean he's the number 1 overall best player. It just means he's not bad, you guys.
No, PER is a terrible stat.
It doesn't
it's
matter.
old.
I'll need a calculator to figure it out.
Analytic.
Again, I don't think you rely on those as a one-to-one correlation, but it is hilarious to me to think that it tells you nothing. It is funny that it's just way off on him.
Well, that's the thing, and it's like the career.
And all the other players are on there. It's
I mean, it is number 1 Michael Jordan, number 2 LeBron James.
Career box plus minus is the same thing. It's
yeah.
like Michael, MJ, LeBron, Kareem, and you're like, okay, so a good group.
It's at best slightly off.
Yeah, yeah. Also, just you don't need any crazy. Like, look at Jokic's playoff averages right now. His averages is it like 32, 14,
Not
and
since
10?
Jokic. Not since Jokic.
On 62% true shooting. That is. If you said that in our hot box and hot take 4 years ago, we would have cut it short.
Bro, are you kidding? Yeah, if you would have said
We've
you
been
have
like,
the
that's it.
best
We've
advanced
gotten,
stats in the history of the NBA in the playoffs,
We'll
you'd
be like,
come
go
on,
drink some water.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Go drink some water.
We've lost the thread.
Yeah.
What's this laced with, dude? What did you do?
Yeah, the worst part is that I'm sorry. I can't. I'm boil over. Harrison, you go. You're gonna say something more.
No, I'm done.
Well, let's
Those
take
are all my notes.
Do you have any notes from Darvingham to wrap up here?
Yeah, absolutely. We also heard from AD, and just a general note, I will say we have watched the perception of the Nuggets change a lot in 2 weeks. They are picked to win this series by a lot of people, favorited, but the Nuggets faced a lot of doubt, of course, over the year. I think this Lakers team really respects them. I bring that up because in years past, you think about the Clippers series and some Warriors matchups or potential matchups. No one fears the Nuggets.
Dude,
Do they fear them?
even earlier this year, I do think it's an earned respect over the last month.
I think it's earned. And I just say that, and sometimes we 5D chess ourselves into thinking compliments from other teams are just buttering them up. But my read, actually, when the Lakers talk about the Nuggets, I think they understand they cannot F around in this series. They know who they're playing. Real quick from AD, they like that look with Rui guarding Jokic and him roaming, but they don't just feel like it's necessarily this quick fix. And AD said it's actually not an easy spot for him. He was asked what it's like balancing dealing with AG while Jokic is there as a playmaker. And he said, I don't know, man, but that's why they pay me the big bucks. I've got to figure it out. Talked a lot about what Gordon does well and just said I can't just ignore him. And then on the rebounding battle, he said, look, Michael Porter Jr. is 6'10", Aaron Gordon is 6'8"? He gets on the glass. Some of our guys are small. It's about us staying physical. Probably would have maybe included the first quarter where Jokic grabbed every rebound over you, but he didn't. Darvingham said, just like Denver, it was a film session more than anything. This film session for the Lakers was about what they can do for themselves. Tomorrow will be a bit more about potential adjustments, what they want to do differently to throw Denver off. Today's conversation was about the Lakers. There was a question about that Rui adjustment and how much has been made of it as a big adjustment, but wasn't that always the plan from Darvingham? And he said, yeah, look, we've said it since day one. It's going to take multiple guys. So we're going to continue to mix the matchup some. We're going to throw different pitches, mix up the game plan, and see where we land. They feel comfortable where they are, but I don't think they're as thrilled with that result as some of their fan base. No one wants to lose, he said, especially now. Even still, though, it's the first of 4. There's time. We got to clean it up. Rebounding, transition, toughness were all
First
things.
of 4 losses.
Rebounding, transition, and toughness were all things they emphasized before the game and feel like they didn't execute on during the game. I think we can wrap up with, gave you the D-Lo quote, give you this real quick. On Jokic, what stands out to him, his mental toughness, his calmness, his physical conditioning. He's mentioned that multiple times now. And then he said they've just been together. They have an unbelievable amount of chemistry and communication. He does not force plays, and he is very similar to LeBron in the fact that he's always going to make the right play in front of him. We can't come out with this mindset of we've got to match them here, we got to match them there. We have to set the tone. And last I checked, to set the tone, you have to throw the first punch.
Right.
That's interesting because Bruce also said the Nuggets have to throw the first punch in game 2.
Well, who threw the first punch in game 1?
The Denver Nuggets.
No question about it. So
Also-
I actually think it is a big deal.
I also watched LeBron James make the wrong play several times last night, taking really bad 3-point shots at the end.
Yeah. I mean,
I think he was tired on that one.
Yeah, I would call that the wrong play.
yeah,
agree
but,
with you.
but I'm
Yeah.
going to give LeBron this. I mean, he is also my age, and I can barely sit in this chair right now after this.
No,
I'm
I'm
just
just
saying,
saying-
that shot at the very end was a total settling shot.
No, I know, but all I hear is that LeBron also always makes the right play. I say that's not true.
I mean, that's probably like his number one quality as like the second best player of all time.
Yeah,
I know. I'm going to give LeBron this one.
I watched it not happen, so I don't know.
If Yoke doesn't retire 10 years before he's 39,
Sure,
I mean,
and he starts making the wrong play
he'll
often.
start making the wrong play, yeah.
Sure.
But it is still a trait I will say he has.
I love your commitment.
I know, you're
It's true. I watched it happen.
I love these guys are like giving Yoke his flowers, and Eric is doing the thing where he's like, not enough, not enough. It's not enough. Bad decision making.
LeBron's not. He doesn't compare.
Also, how many dunks did LeBron have last night? How many did Yoke have? I'm not sure he doesn't jump
I'm
high.
just saying. I hear this all the time that they're the
A
same
less
level
athletic? Yoke had 3
They're the
dunks
same
last
level
night.
decision maker. I'm just telling you what I saw.
Well,
I actually am with Eric on that.
Well, I mean, Yoke. To me, I'll put it this way: there are very few S tier decision makers, and Yoke's an S tier. If you want to debate
What's above S tier though?
there's nothing. I'm saying if you want to debate the
That's where
margins,
Jokic is.
if you want to debate the margins, you can go ahead and do that. But
They're
Yoke,
both S tier.
Yoke does not make very many bad reads.
But he does turn the ball over sometimes, if that's what we're
Right,
doing.
of course.
He has
Yeah,
literally
exactly.
made the wrong read before.
All right, including, by the way, a little bit in the clutch of last night. So, all right, let's take a break here. On the other side, let's start to get into some of these other adjustments, including the Rui one and kind of what I expect from it. Hear what you guys think.
Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR. If you don't know where to get Breck Brew, check out the Breck Brew beer locator. Go to breckbrew.com, breckenridgebrewery.com. Type in your zip code. That will show you exactly where to get Breck Brew, no matter where you are. If you're local, stop into the DNVR bar. We got Breck Brew on tap. Pick up some Mile High City Golden Ale for the playoff run. You got all day today to pick some up or all afternoon. Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR. Make sure to pick up some Mile High City Golden Ale. Tastes great in a great can as well. The beer of the playoff run. So
Makes you feel
pick
great, too, if
some
you
up
drink enough of
today.
them.
Yeah. IV Nutrition of Wash Park.
Oh, God, help
Check
us,
out
please.
the Wash Park location. We should have gone there today.
We
Dude,
should have
I
done
fuck-
that. We should do the
got
show
hooked up
from
with
there.
IV.
I need to go. I
Yeah, we
need
should
to
do
go to the
that.
IV Nutrition in Washed Park. I am washed.
You have to go to their Wash Park location. Corner of
No,
Alameda
no.
and Downing.
No.
Anyone who mentions DNVR when they come in gets 50% off their first IV nutritional drip. Give them a call, 720-259-4404 for more information. Again, you got to go to their Wash Park location, though. Corner Alameda and Downing. Anyone who mentions DNVR when they come in gets 50% off their first IV nutritional drip.
We back?
We bake.
All right, let's get into some of these adjustments here. Let's talk about the Rui piece here. All right, I'm going to be honest. Denver does not. When people say like a solve, I think here's the thing: is the Nuggets. First of all, Rui only guarded him for what, 5 minutes, maybe less.
Like 6 shots, I think.
6 shots or something. Like it was such a small sample size. And one of those plays, they got a wide open KCP3. Because I even saw Nick Wright, Jokic hater. This is where a lot of it comes from. Is the takesman, who, by the way, being in media, a takesman like that, not everybody wants a deep dive. Not everybody wants that. Some guys just want to argue with their friends, and they're like, what's the good take? And Nick Wright, to me, is among the best. I think it's a little unearnest to say, like, oh, they found a solve. Nuggets fans should actually feel like they lost that game. I think those things are a little bit, those aren't completely, like, heartfelt. The thing is, in the playoffs, people don't realize every game is different until it's solved. And I think what everybody's doing right now is running to that's the adjustment. The way that game ended is going to be how this game starts.
Right.
And then nothing else happens.
Right,
It's just
of
like
course.
an extension of that for the next 4 games, and then the series is over. Which, first of all, could be. Sometimes that happens in a series where a team loses game 1, figures something out, and there's no further adjustment. What happens more often is that every adjustment a team makes opens up a counter adjustment to the other team, meaning most teams don't have the perfect solve for everything, and by playing one player, you expose yourself to something else. For example, they might need D'Angelo Russell scoring in the future, but if you were to play him, you're going to be having a terrible defender that Denver's going to go at. There's always these cost and benefit to everything you do. So the Rui thing to me is not about, is it a Jokic solve? Is it their best option, and what are the penalties for going to that option?
Right.
And to me, that's where I say, you know what? It might be. Coming into the series, I was prepared for it. It's actually why I said Michael Porter at the 4 is going to be something that Denver probably has to arrive at. It's not the only thing, but there's going to be some unconventional things to combat what their best punch will be. But again, the Rui piece of this to me is smart, and they are going to have some level of success doing it. That's my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, like, let's be honest. this does give Denver trouble initially. Like Philly. Like that gave the Nuggets a lot of trouble in that game.
By the way, not a Jokic problem. It's an Aaron Gordon problem.
I'm just saying it's a Nuggets problem.
No, I know, but I'm trying to make this point of when I say that to beat one thing, you lose something else. Denver can beat this by putting Michael Porter at the 4, but now they're a lesser defensive team. So there are things, and the same with them. They move Rui to playing more minutes on Jokic. Well, one, he's probably going to get more fouls. Number two, they need his scoring, especially against bench lineups. Do you lose that? Do you gain something? But then the bench lineup all of a sudden is hemorrhaging points because they have to go to all their smallest players.
Yes. All I'm saying is it has given the Nuggets trouble when teams have just thrown it at them in a game. And Denver lost that fourth quarter in Philly when they went to it. They almost choked away the lead last night when they went to it as well. So it does give Denver trouble. Now the Nuggets have a chance to adjust to it, in game 2, which they didn't have against the 76ers. And I fully expect them to.
Yeah, I mean, really what it does is it just puts more emphasis on the exterior, on the players that hang out around the three-point arc and just can then be fed wide open three-pointers. If they knock them down, then that nullifies that adjustment. It's just like there's just what you love about Denver and why you can feel confident is that when people say like there's some adjustment that turns off this thing, you're like, okay, they have like 8 other ways that they can get you. So then, okay, so we're going to have to rely on ball be kicked out, swing around the top. Jamal Murray is open, like Michael Porter Jr. is open.
All right,
like,
but let me play devil's advocate here because Michael Malone said we've seen this a million times or whatever he said, like we're very familiar with it. So why did it catch him off guard? If it's a thing that you've seen a million times, why did Denver struggle to score on it in this game?
It's a great question.
My feeling on it is that it came in the moments of the game that were the most tense, and Denver was already like sort of tensing up. Every shot going down this end part of the game was like a little bit life or death feeling. Like whether it was coming, KCP was streaking in from the top of the key and finishing high off the glass. Every shot just felt like it had so much gravity, and so people were tensing up. This is the kind like they were sort of in a place where they were relying on Jokic to be Jokic, and then it was like, oh, now we got to rely on you guys a little bit more. If they're going into that time with that mindset more, it's not such a surprise, and there's a human element.
I also think that just because other teams have employed the scheme doesn't mean it's the same puzzle to solve in each scenario, right? Different personnel, different initial game plans, working on you right backwards from those in a game. So like, it's not just, yes, Philly and Minnie did the same thing. How you want to beat the Lakers is probably a different question than Minnie and Philly. I also think over the years, Malone and Jokic, actually, who does always figure it out, I think they're more of a between-game adjusting combo than they are a during-game adjusting
Kale, will you
combo.
block Harold Gene? Just a dork.
I actually like that one. Where was I?
We should probably talk Jeff Green.
Well,
We're on our first adjustment.
Yeah, we talk about a lot of
We're
shit.
literally on the first topic point.
We're going to talk the 8th guy out of 8.
I'm glad that you guys acknowledged that because like it was a smart adjustment. They smelled a chance to win game 1 and they went for it. And by the way, we can all say after the fact, like they made a mistake. They showed their hand. There's something to that. Was it a mistake? If the Lakers steal that, they've stolen game 1
They were
again,
so close
which
to.
is their formula of winning these series in the past. So I don't think the Lakers made a mistake in that adjustment. It was a good adjustment. It just also needs to be said that Denver survived it, won the game, and now there's time to take a closer look at it. And by all indications today, it's something they've done.
Well, here's the thing. I'll say this. So, first of all, Aaron Gordon is really good as a dunker spot player. So that adjustment naturally, I don't want to say eliminates, because maybe Denver is able to get more of those drop-off passes that they failed to get. AD is uniquely good because of how big he is at both contesting shots and disrupting passing lanes on that short space drop-offs. So maybe that is a thing they take away. But even if they just reduce it a little bit, that's AG's best skill. His worst skill is shooting, and they're trying to force him, more into, all right, now you need to be a floor spacer. The other option to me, which is the more interesting one, but I'm a little skeptical because I don't think the Nuggets have actually been as good as I think they should be at this, is using him as basically this heat-seeking screener for the other guys. And Denver got a wide-open KCP on this very action of, all right, AD wants to help out, Yoke attack, rather than stay in the dunker, he
Sinks in.
sneaked up top to the elbow basically instead of flare screen for KCP. Got him a wide open shot. He missed it, almost went in. And by the way, if that shot goes in, this game probably doesn't even get close. It was that important of a moment, and it was a 3-pointer. But nonetheless, so I think that Denver is going to be able to build. But to me, those are the counters. It's less about AD being worried about him hitting shots. He probably needs to hit a couple. It's less about getting him in the dunker spot a bunch, although he's probably going to get a couple. It's more about AD can't be in the paint, and the only way to draw him out is to use Aaron Gordon as a screener in pick and rolls and as a screener off ball.
Yeah. And talking about Aaron Gordon as like the floor spacer, which is how the Lakers want the Nuggets to beat them.
Yes.
This is actually a reason why I think Jeff Green played some minutes last night, because I think the Nuggets trust his shot more than Aaron Gordon's right now. Like Aaron Gordon went 0-3 from 3.
Yep.
In the first quarter, he record scratched on a 3 in the corner, closest to where we sit in that corner on the Nuggets basket, but on the opposite side of their bench. And it was like a transition 3 that he hesitated on and should just shot. And he missed it after hesitating. And he went 0-3 from 3 last night. He went 4 of 8 from the free throw line. I'm a little worried about his confidence in his shot right now.
Yeah.
And so I hate the idea of him being a floor spacer.
Malone needs to help him out, I think.
Yeah.
I think just saying, hey, he needs to hit shots. That's, again, you're right.
Yeah, he shot 38.5% from 3 in the playoffs before last night, which is great. Like if he's hitting at that rate, Nuggets are going to win the championship. But I'm a little worried about him as a shooter right now.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I think this is it. I do want to take 1 second though, just to kind of say this one thing. The cool thing about that Philly game, and it sucks that they collapsed and lost, because the truth was, if they would have won that game, the story would have been Joel Embiid had to get switched off of Jokic because he was getting his ass kicked, which was true for 3 quarters in that game as well.
Yes.
It was a collapse in the 4th quarter with this adjustment that mattered. So, number 1, Joel Embiid can't guard Jokic, gets absolutely cooked where the Nuggets had like a 150 offensive rating before the collapse. Anthony Davis, the other best defensive player in the NBA. We're 1 game into a series, and already it feels like they can't have him guard Jokic. That is not just a bad matchup. That is a historic, not since Jokic performance, 34-19 or whatever. And then lastly, just to put a little more fun, because we're trying to have fun here, Nuggets fans. I love that Michael Porter Jr. pointed out that it was Celtics that deployed this against Joel Embiid. Because what happened to Joel Embiid in Game 7, guys?
Oh, that's a good point.
What happened to Joel
Folded
Embiid?
like a house of cards.
He had a really rough game. And if I recall, 1 rebound at the half. How many did Jokic have at the half? 16
Almost
or 17?
20.
A lot.
So I think it was 16. It's hilarious to me that he wasn't trying to make that comparison, but it is funny to me to be like, yeah, they did that to Embiid, really struggled. Jokic kind of had a nice little night there. kind of did okay.
But yeah, and Porter too, man, joined the chorus and saying, no, we looked at the film, we know what to do.
Yeah, I will. But just to get back to the Rui piece here, I do think there's something to how many minutes can you play him there. Yes, Denver can have a solve, but there's also the leg of they started small. Again, the brilliant Darvin Ham adjustment I kind of thought was funny because Darvin Ham also played 3 guards to start the game, and Denver got up.
What was Darvin Ham thinking? That was a terrible decision to start Dennis Schroeder.
There was so much and look, I'm not trying to. I like Darvin Ham. He's a former Nugget. I'm not going to hate on a former Nugget here, man. And by all accounts, seems like a great. I'm being serious.
Every former Nugget
Wasn't Brian
limits.
Shaw former Nugget?
I'm saying by all accounts, Darvin Ham is a beloved former Nugget. But Darvin Ham is like a guy people actually like.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is, I'm not trying to just shit on him, but the move to start the 3 guards was so much worse than the move to put Rui on at the end. And it's hilarious to me that everybody is falling down being like, what a genius move. I was like,
he should have started
dude,
that
I
way.
previewed the series expecting that to be how they started the game, but so anyway, just a little bit of a funny thing there. But Rui, the one thing about them is, does he start this next game? The Lakers don't have enough size in particular, but enough good players, especially in the small forward, power forward, centers positions. They don't have enough to use them all in one punch because you are going to get to some staggered lineups where all of a sudden Jeff Green is being guarded by Schroeder or D'Angelo Russell or something where it's like you're way too small now in your staggered lineups.
By the way, Ham was asked about that as well, the possibility of moving Rui around, and then specifically in the context of is some of the give and take there losing that pop off your bench.
Right.
He's actually been quite valuable for them. And he didn't really answer it directly, but I think there's maybe some insight here. He said, like I said before, It would be one thing if we were totally blown out of the water and totally overwhelmed by our opponent. All respect to that team and coaching staff, of course, but we saw ways we can be better going forward. Now, sometimes you hear that kind of language from Malone, and I think our typical read on that is, I don't know if I would expect myriad adjustments, right, or monster adjustments right off the bat. I get the sense that the Lakers feel like their plan A and B, admittedly, but their top plans almost got them that game. And so they're going to change it up all series, but I don't think they're in let's go back to the drawing board here mode. That didn't work at all.
Let's take a quick break. On the other side, LeBron James hunted Jamal Murray last game, and that was a big part of how they scored. What is the adjustment there? I've got one theory for it. We'll talk about that on the other side.
Guys, it's heating up here in Denver. We're deep into May. June's right around the corner. You got to get some Shady Rays for the summer.
Baby.
Take on the sun with gear built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays, they got you covered for the warm weather ahead with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. Right now, DNVR listeners, you can get 50% off 2+ pairs
Holy smokes.
of polarized Shady Rays sunglasses with the code DNVR. Go to shadyrays.com. Use the code DNVR. 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. One really cool thing about Shady Rays is that if you lose or break your pair of sunglasses, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair.
I lost mine.
No questions
Again.
asked.
We all know that.
By the way, anyone in the office?
I think
for
they're
every-
right up
if
here, actually.
You see a pair of all black Shady Rays.
They're right.
Got a new
Yeah,
intern. Help me out.
Maybe you're going to the lake and you want to block out the sun
Sometimes life gets real
because
bright.
there's wolves somewhere.
Messes with your eyes.
50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses at shadyrays.com. You can shop their entire collection at their brand new location, Park Meadows Mall. They got everything that you could want there from Shady Rays, or you can go to shadyrays.com. Also, with Fubo TV, you get 140 plus live channels of sports shows, movies, and news. You can stream Fubo TV from any device. Watch the most Colorado sports for the lowest price. You can start watching immediately with a 7-day free trial as well. So go to FuboTV.com/DNVR. You can click that QR code right on the screen as well. Sign up, start watching immediately. You get 1,000 hours of cloud DVR included at no extra charge. Nuggets playoffs are on ESPN. This series is.
Yes.
So you can watch ESPN and the Nuggets with Fubo TV. Watch the Nuggets and Avs playoff run on ESPN with Fubo TV. Go to FuboTV.com/DNVR. Very important. You have to go to that link. FuboTV.com/DNVR to sign up for 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro.
All right. So Jamal Murray was a big story for me in this game. Phenomenal offensive. And by the way, I didn't give him enough flowers last game. Playing through illness,
Yeah, man.
and having the game that he did offensively,
Not just
gutting
illness,
it through,
an ear infection.
ear infection, all of those things. Really, really impressive game because he was efficient. I thought he struck the right balance of aggressiveness and being a point guard.
He was great.
Really, really good,
so good.
offensive performance. Defensively, I think Denver, LeBron was clearly hunting him. He wanted him every single time. They loved that matchup, and he was just bullying him. He's too big. LeBron's one of the biggest, most mobile players to ever play the game.
Yeah.
And so that was tough. And Denver wasn't in position to help him out. I think the first tweak, number one, Malone referenced that they just didn't do a very good job, and I do think there was some conditioning/communication breakdowns at the end there that they weren't exchanging. The plan is usually what it is rub action. LeBron and Austin Reeves set a screen for each other because Murray's guarding Reeves, and so that you can get Murray switched out onto LeBron. And what's supposed to happen is Aaron Gordon, who's guarding LeBron, Murray steps up on LeBron just long enough for Aaron Gordon to get through the screen and get over, and then he releases. I think the easiest way to solve this, or not really solve it, but to make it a little bit harder, is to put Murray on Schroeder, to take him off of Reeves. Is a really good and quick shooter. So when he sets that screen and then sprints as far away as possible, LeBron throws the perfectly timed pass, and then he just catches and goes, and he knocked down a couple threes that way. If it's Schroeder, who can also hit threes, but if you ask me, D-line, who's going to hit more of them, it's Austin Reeves. Also, he has a quicker shot. It's him. So I think the first step of this, there's just a level of Denver needs to be a little bit more locked in. And there's another adjustment I'll get to in a second, but I think that's the easiest one win. Vote on Schroeder. Anybody want to touch that?
No,
or you
I
guys
do.
are just
I do. No. I think it's a great point. play a little devil's advocate on the way that it shook out. As Eric pointed out, LeBron James spent a lot of energy hunting Murray, going to the rim. It looked great. It looked like he could do it 100 times in a row, except he could not do it the 100th time. Murray had 5 fouls. LeBron settled for a 3. As a matter of fact, that is what happened. Now, I don't think your defensive game plan can just be he'll settle for a 3 again. But Denver was awfully willing to concede that switch. And they talked after the game about how that's what they do, especially when Jokic isn't on the floor. Is it something they look at and they say, we can live with this? We can live with this.
I think the thing you're worried about is that that's going to beat Jamal up throughout the
Yeah.
series.
That's the great counter.
And that'd be my biggest concern. Just don't switch it. Just go way under LeBron's screen and make him shoot the 3.
Yeah,
like
let him
just go
shoot the
way
3.
under the screen and just don't even worry about it.
Yeah, I agree.
Like that's what
That's
I
a
would
good point, Win.
try to do.
It's a good counter.
The other thing, and Michael Malone referenced this, he said, when you look at the tape, they have good shooters, but we were hugging them too tight. We need to be off them a little bit more and crowding the paint a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that is another part of this is sometimes it's micro adjustments of just, hey, man, they do have some good shooters, but we want to make the driving part harder on them. And let's run their shooters off the line. Let's run them out and make them shoot contested threes and this or that. And I think that's part of it. So shrinking the court a little bit, getting their length into the paint and discouraging LeBron from drive. So even if Murray is on an island, like LeBron just kind of inched his way to the paint and then got layups or whatever. Instead, you know what? Put the bodies there, make him throw it out, especially to the guys you want to pick and choose them to shoot it, and then run them off the line. And last night, guys, the thing about it is the Lakers, I've referenced this a few times, but Anthony Davis went 1 of 1. Dennis Schroeder went 2 of 2.
Yeah.
Austin Reeves went 5 of 9. Rui Hachimura went 1 of 1. Lonnie Walker went 2 of 4. All of their role players, the only guys that didn't shoot above 50% were D'Angelo Russell, who's not going to play again, and LeBron James, who went 0 and 4, and that's just who he is. He sometimes goes 3 of 4, sometimes 0 of 4, but he's not consistent. But the role players are the ones, the kickouts, that's who you're afraid of. They all shot better than should be expected going forward, and as a result, they shot 46% from 3 as a team. So again,
Did they win the math problem?
let's see, they had 11 threes, Denver had 15. So Denver shot 47%.
Okay, they
so
still have not won the math
46 to 47%. So both teams, I think when you look at regression, everybody wants to say they're going to regress. I think both teams are going to have up and down shooting games, and this was one where a rare example of both teams having an up shooting game.
We should make a show graphic called Math Problem, and then we literally just examine 3-point percentages. Right after this.
I'll tell you what was interesting about last night, though. We were talking about foul trouble so much in the lead up to this series. It was the Nuggets guards who got in foul trouble, not the Nuggets bigs. Aaron Gordon, 1 foul. Michael Porter Jr., 2 fouls. Nikola Jokic, 4 fouls. None of those guys were in foul trouble. It was KCP and Jamal Murray
Look at you
in
Win.
foul trouble.
Hang on,
last
we're
night.
allowed to do research before this show?
No, God, no.
Well, I'm
if we
just
look-
doing it in real time,
if we look
actually,
at-
just looking at the box score. But we were so worried about like Denver's bigs. It was the guards that got in foul trouble. And I mean, we just talked about Jamal Murray on LeBron. That was that reason.
Right.
KCP picked up some throughout the entire game. That was just interesting, I thought.
So Anthony Davis drew 8 fouls last night. LeBron James drew 6. Austin Reeves drew 4. Then you get one from D'Lo, Schroeder, and Lonnie Walker. Or Rui rather. So really is coming from those 3 guys. Austin Reeves is very good at drawing fouls. But there you go. I think the last adjustment that I think is pertinent and interesting is D'Angelo Russell. We've hinted at it, but what?
Nothing.
What did I miss?
No, I'm laughing at the chat.
Oh.
It's not for the microphones, though.
Oh, well, I didn't know if I was speaking over someone or
No,
something.
no. I'm laughing at the
I'm just trying to move the show along. We're at an hour. D'Angelo Russell.
We were going to go short today.
Also,
You did
you just took us to task about interrupting you, but we weren't. We were just sitting here.
26 minutes for D'Angelo Russell, which, by the way, not that many, and as Malone pointed out, but he was a minus 25 in 26 minutes. I'm not saying that the Nuggets that should scare the Nuggets, but I will say they leaned into Denver's best punch to start this game, and I don't think they're going to do that in game 2 or another game in the series.
You think he starts next game?
I don't know their social dynamics because to me, there's no basketball dynamic to say that he should start. I think it's absurd. Even if you put Rui into the lineup, I think it's crazy to have him there. When it's not just that he's a terrible defender and changes that dynamic.
Yeah.
It's that he took some crazy shots.
He's D'Angelo Russell. That's the worst part about him.
Down 16 points, no rhythm, a total stop the bleeding moment, and he ISOs for 18 seconds and shoots a mid-range fall away. I'm thinking, if I could have asked them to do something, I would have asked them to give D'Angelo a fall
I've
away.
got ice in my cerebral cortex. I don't make good decisions.
He's that imperfect balance of like flawed, but just good enough to not examine his own flaws and clean them up. He's like, oh, it's my time.
You also know the thing about I said who punched first. Denver's intensity in the first quarter was a 10. Los Angeles was about a 4. And you know who weighed it down the most? D'Angelo Russell. That guy plays with total, like, the lowest energy of anybody.
Dude.
I mean, talk about Jeff Green low energy. D'Angelo Russell somehow has lower energy.
Bruce was talking about that matchup the way D-Line talks about Jimmy John's.
How's that?
He was like, let's go again right now. Every day of my life.
Well, I never do that with enthusiasm. It's more
that's
more
true.
like solemn resignation.
Yeah, there's
like,
self-hate involved in that.
I'm like,
choice.
I've got 11 minutes and I need food in me. Let's go.
So I think, again, the one thing I'll steer away from is this idea that Game 2 will be an extension of Game 1. I don't think that's the case. It was its own arc, and the beginning of Game 2's arc is its own beginning. It's not picking up where you left off. Yes, those adjustments I think are going to be in here, but the thing that Malone hinted at the most, you wonder, are the adjustments more offensive or defensive? Surprise, surprise. Malone sees them as defensive because 17 transition points in the first half, 2 in the second. Why was there only 2? They didn't get a damn stop the entire time. How much of this is energy? I think some. Some of this is tactical and being locked in. But at some point, and then some of this is hot shooting, but Denver punishes them when they miss shots.
Yep.
Absolutely punishes them. They didn't miss anything in the second half because they got the shots they wanted.
And because most of their shots are at the rim.
And a lot of shots at the rim and all that stuff. So Denver, the question for me in Game 2 is largely going to be about, can Denver get stops? And I think they're going to put a lot more into that. And if we talk about personnel decisions, so Jeff Green plays 18 minutes. He had 3 points. He hit a 3, which, by the way, was a big 3, 1 for 1. And he had 1 rebound. We've seen this so many times from Jeff.
Oh, he had 1?
He did have 1 rebound.
Remember, he was like,
It was the
bounced off
luckiest
of the-
offensive rebound too.
I should have given him
He
a
like
C
fell
minus.
down. It was a little
It's
scramble.
like,
It just
yeah,
kind of went to
it's
him.
like I made $1 by finding $1.
Here's why I think you can overcorrect to something like this. And look, I'm not a Jeff Green guy, guys. This is not like, you've heard me all year. It drives me nuts, Jeff Green does. The thing about Jeff is he is huge, and Denver has a size advantage. And if they do want to go to a Rui to start, or I've heard some people say a Vando, which creates the same problems, Jokic doesn't have to guard Vando. It's going to make their defense a lot easier. And then maybe they're playing in transition. And does Vando help their transition defense? I don't know. Again, every adjustment creates a new problem for both teams. And I think that with Jeff Green, if they do play Rui more with the starters, more trying to combat, who is that leave in the second lineup to play against the Jeff Green lineup? He could be impactful there. Now, I think Malone should be more open. We talk about, can you play Michael Porter at the 4? Zeke Naji and Vlatko Chanchar aren't the worst. They haven't gone to him in a long time. But if you don't want to lose size and you don't want to lose defense, but you want to gain a little corner spacing, those 2 guys are probably a better option. And it's not the worst idea to go to him and see what it looks like.
My thing with Jeff Green is that he's so unbelievably frustrating. When you watch these games, he's clearly the weakest link for a variety of reasons. He has upside and he gives you size more than anything. But like, I just hate that we can't ever try anything different. But I will say, it's working. Like, we're winning games. You know, it's like hard for me to get too upset at like the adjustments and the personnel or whatever. Like, the Nuggets have had a very successful run through the playoffs to this point. So, you know, until it like really the wheels really fall off, I have a hard time saying like, well, they have to make this change. Even though I would prefer very much to see Zeke Naji in that position or Peyton Watson. Or
to me, you need shooting though. Like specifically
I mean, it's just,
the shooting part.
For me, it's like more often than not, I notice him in defensive areas that are wrong. And you know, he will at least once a game find himself with a wide open 3 that he very rarely cashes in. He hit it last night, so it's hard to get mad at it. It's just the Jeff Green conundrum is like the last guy on your bench. He's the 8th of 8.
He had the second worst defensive rating behind Christian Brown, who had a 156. So. But it was bad. 144 for him. It was bad.
I do think D-Line's right in that it is inevitable that the 8th guy in an 8th man rotation is a lightning rod for criticism.
Yeah.
Right.
I also think, by the way, I'm going to get to some Jeff Green criticism, so don't like throw your laptops out the window. I also think there's a bottom line that has to be acknowledged in not you. that has to be acknowledged in that we say like, oh, he can't play Jeff Green. Well, he's played Jeff Green the whole playoff.
Yeah, it's gone pretty well.
The 8-man rotation is working. Having said that, I am definitely in favor of. I would give Zeke a look. I think Zeke can he? I don't know if he's going to change the geometry of the floor with his spacing because I don't know if teams will respect him enough. But I think he's more likely to hit wide open threes than Jeff. I
don't know about that.
Maybe not, actually. I don't know, man. That last year, I'd be more confident in that.
If you ask me, the most likely guy to hit that corner three knowing it's coming, it's Vlatko.
That's a good point.
And it's like he has the
Zeke has a great shot.
I
He does, man.
Well, he used to.
Remember how we
Used to.
Listen,
it's a different shot though now.
He sure used to.
Listen, I've watched every game that Zeke Naji has played, and he played really well.
I missed him.
Down the stretch of this year.
Yeah, but I don't think it was by shooting.
Yeah.
But he also was shooting. But it was tenacious Zeke. Just all these things we're talking about that we are or are not getting from Jeff Green. We did get from Zeke Naji.
You guys are right to push back on the shooting a little bit with Zeke with the form. I would still say, like, for whatever mistakes Zeke or Vlatko might make because they haven't played in a long time, how much worse are those mistakes than just Jeff Green's lack of production? Because the bottom line is he hasn't defended super well, and he's not rebounding super well, and he's certainly not changing the floor on the other end, even if he knocks them down. So
the missed dunk to me, that the alley-oop is like the
was
word.
so
That
I
was
missed
like
a couple of those.
that was the greatest punctuation that could have happened, and instead it was a turnover.
I think you could try it, but I also want to acknowledge that like the line right now is you can't play Jeff Green, and they have played Jeff Green, they're up 1-0.
People are quick to forget that the bench was probably the reason the Nuggets beat the Timberwolves in 5 games. The bench with Jeff Green was great. It was also great in games 1 and 2 against the Suns. It's been bad since. My number one preferred adjustment would be slightly lowering Jeff Green's minutes, upping Michael Porter Jr. at the 4. If you're looking to get a guy not in the lineup into the rotation, I think the choice that I would go with is Vlatko, and I really wouldn't think about putting anybody else in there.
Well, I like
that much.
I'll sign
That's
up for
how
that.
I kind of feel that way as well.
I don't trust Zeke. I definitely don't trust Peyton Watson. Vlatko seems like the only other guy I would even think about.
Okay.
And I'll tell you this,
Sign me
I
up,
mean,
though.
AG's my guy, Mr. Nugget. I listened to Draymond Green's pod. Well, he's my guy. I listened to Draymond Green's pod today, and he's breaking down the series, and he's really highlighting of obviously the Rui thing, and he's like,
It could definitely be worse.
and
too.
he's really questioning Aaron Gordon's ability to exploit this. And I'm just going to go out and say this. I've said this last year when they played. Draymond does not like Aaron Gordon. I don't say that knowing. I just say that reading what I've seen and read. I don't think he likes Aaron Gordon at all, and I think he doesn't like him because I think he thinks he is not mentally strong enough to handle the exact thing that he is saying right here. I say that to say I hope Aaron Gordon proves him wrong. I thought he battled really well in that series, but Draymond Green is calling this a battleground. But when you say Zeke Naji is a great shooter, it could be. Is he a great guy to step into this role and hit the pressure shots there? I don't know, but again, if you asked me, Vlatko has been in pressure moments in different various ways, and I think he's done a great job. Zeke, I think I'm just a little more skeptical being able to step into that.
I mean, I get skepticism, but until he shows you he can't do it, it's a Schrodinger's Zeke. Schrodinger's shot.
Yeah,
Dennis Schrodinger's?
In the meantime, we are kind of watching Jeff not do it. That's my only pushback. It's like Jeff's not doing it.
Anyway, a lot of wasted breath for no adjustment coming on that front.
Yeah, he's going to play Jeff. He's going to
we'll
play
walk
Jeff.
into,
And they might go up 2-0.
and I hope Jeff Green punctuates with those dunks. And I will say, if they go to a smaller lineup and with that second unit, there's a real opportunity for Jeff to exert his size advantage on those guys, because he is one thing that Jeff is really, really good at is using his size advantage in isolation.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite way to play, but if you give him a tiny guy for him to have to go attack, I kind of like it. So we'll see what happens there. All right, we got super chats. What do we got? A lot of them. People super chatting on an off day, man. That's how we do it.
Neapolitan, Jamal ear infection game, Murray.
Yeah, it doesn't have quite the same
Move
ring
over
to it.
flu game, ear infection game, plus bug that was running through the team earlier game. It's just Jordan, 420-69. Nice, bro. Seeing a lot of Lakers fans blame the refs for this one, even though they finish with more free throws. Are Lakers fans
We're wrapping
worse
up,
than
Suze.
Suns
We're wrapping
fans? Yeah, don't worry, Suze. Yeah,
We're on
probably.
Super Chats.
There are a lot of them. Blair Einfeld. Shout out everyone last night for making my trip to
our
Game
homie
1
Blair.
such a memorable experience. He got to meet you guys.
I
right?
love when a guy.
We hung out with
Blair.
Blair. Blair was here for one day and took a red-eye flight this morning to get back.
He probably the only guy on earth who feels worse than us.
King shit. Let's finish his.
Hey, it's coming up,
read.
Suze.
Jokic, a god. Illegal
It's not
Peak
actually how it
Burrito
works
was
also.
awesome, and DNVR crew so gracious. Thanks for building this community. You're welcome. Thank you for building this community. It takes two to tango, pal. Seth Lichtenstein. Last night I thought AD was getting away with defensive 3 seconds in the fourth. Did you notice that on rewatch? Wonder if Nuggets will say something to refs. Anyone
I'm sure
notice
they
3
sent
seconds?
clips to the refs.
Oh no, I did notice it. Him saying, yeah, like come on, I remember the play. Guys, 3 seconds is one of those ones that like gets called sometimes and sometimes not.
I know.
The technicality of it was 3.4.
Like call Yoke for one.
Oh, did they? You can count 3 seconds. Could be called 400 times a game if you wanted to.
Rockabot, any thoughts on Murray AG pick and roll with Jokic focusing on offensive boards versus Rui? Fellas?
I can't think.
That
of
was a question for the panel.
AG pick and roll.
You can
with
say
Murray.
no.
All right.
I mean, I think the offense was fine.
The offense was phenomenal.
Yeah, except in the fourth quarter. I think, what if Yoke just goes into game one and they put Rui on to start and he just gets 2 quick fouls on him and sends him to the bench? That'd be
Vanda.
great.
So you just go to Vanda.
And everyone's like, "Oh, our weird trick."
James Jimmy pointing out Zeke Naji has 2 times the offensive rebound rate of Jeff Green. Well, Jeff Green doesn't get any rebounds.
Yeah,
so
what's
that's
2 times
what's
0?
2 times 0, right?
zero.
So you're saying
He
he
actually
has
has
0?
100 times the rebound rate.
And what better way to end everyone's favorite Nuggets podcast than with some Celtics thoughts? Laking Ball, super chatting, checking in. I am tired with this Heat culture. Bro,
What?
they haven't won since LeBron left. Come on, not even hating. Jimmy is him. There you go, Eric. But they get all this love.
God.
Celtics in
Are
5
we
to
gonna
6.
have him off?
Bevo, it's Tatum's time to shine. Let's go. All love.
All right.
Him
hit
v.
that
him?
outro music. Guys, Hangover edition officially over.
Oh my
Good
God.
show.
My hangover not over?
No, dude.
My hangover not over
I'm
at all,
going
but the
into
hangover
5th
edition
gear
is.
on
You
this
guys want a
hangover.
drink?
Let's go have
Yeah.
drinks, man. A little hair of the dog. Hey, we are going to be back tomorrow with the pregame show. Then we're going to have the postgame show. You guys know how it works. We're gonna
That's
be
a
A
back.
week from
of
tomorrow,
stuff.
right? Like,
And then I'm
much stuff.
hoping I'll have a list out. I actually almost certain will. I'll get a list out late tonight. So we'll be some video X's and O's of everything
I'm
going
not doing
on.
a goddamn thing.
Hit the like button on the way out.